I'm okay.
Okay, good. So let me say a pleasant good afternoon to the listeners of Freedom 106.5. Always a pleasure to be in your company discussing health from a natural and integrated perspective. So last program we touched on a few things. We touched on hydration, the importance of water, how much water you're supposed to drink. We had one or two questions regarding circulation. We also spoke a bit on digestion as well. So of course, keep in mind the program is a interactive one. So of course, we will give them the telephone number, of course, just now that they could contact to ask their questions. And today we're actually discussing eye health. So we're going to touch a bit on eye health as it relates to diabetics as well as persons who suffer from poor circulation, because most persons who have eye challenges, and when we're speaking about eye challenges, we're not just talking about you might have a little blurred vision or you have a little runny eyes. You may be someone who do a lot of work with computers. You might read a lot. So as a result of that, you find your eyes might be a little red or blurred sometime or run water. You might have been diagnosed with dry eyes. That's one particular aspect. But then we go into the realm where the eye problems are a little more serious. So things like glaucoma, which is high ocular pressure in the eyes. There's a certain pressure that your eye is supposed to have. And that particular pressure is supposed to be anywhere in the vicinity of about 8 to 15 on a particular field of measure. And that's both eyes, the right eye and the left eye. But some persons, their ocular pressure could go as high as 40, which of course is seriously detrimental, because when you understand pressure, if pressure is increased in a much smaller or confined space, it means it can cause problems, rupturing of blood vessels. It could cause immediate or temporary blindness. So those are some of the eye problems we're going to discuss. We're also going to discuss cataract as it relates to poor circulation. Cataract is primarily mineral buildup on the lens of the eye. And as a result of that, you have problems with blurred vision. So it's like you have a window and the glass on the window is not as clean as it should be. So as a result of that, the view is obscured. The same appears with someone who has cataract. And then, of course, we're going to touch on what is known as retinal detachment. Reason being, I decided to speak about this topic is that we have a lot of persons in this country who are diabetic. So they may have type 1 diabetes, which is insulin-dependent diabetes, which means they usually take insulin via injection every morning, maybe, or every night, every morning, every night, depending on what your regime is. And then we have persons who may be type 2 diabetes, which is more common, which is where you don't really take insulin, but you will take medication, primarily things like glucophage, diamicron, Dionil, which are primarily blood sugar control medication. The thing with that is once you are diabetic, your likelihood of developing eye problems, i.e. what we're discussing, glaucoma, cataract, bleeding behind the eyes, or what is referred to as detached retina, regardless of your age as a diabetic, you are significantly at a higher risk of developing serious eye problems. And that's something that a lot of persons don't know and they don't understand. Trinidad and Tobago has one of the highest rates of adolescent diabetes in the world. For persons who don't know what that means, it means that adolescents, very young children, who run in the age group of anywhere between 13 to 2019, they have diabetes. So it means that they are actually at risk of having severe eye damage. I have a few clients who actually fall in that category. So that's why we're going to discuss what we need to discuss. So you could just give them a reminder for the WhatsApp to ask their questions. I'm trying to remember and familiarize myself with your names, sir. For some reason, it's not coming to me. You could remind me, please?
Yes, sir. Just bass. Just remember bass, like bass, the bass guitar, bass drum, bass in your speakers, bass. That's
okay, good. Bass. Okay, bass. So you can just remind them of the telephone contact for me now, please.
627-3223, 625-2257. Also, your WhatsApp messages at 306-1065.
Good. So when you talk about circulation, a lot of persons do not understand, as I said, as it relates to eye health, why circulation is so important. So the thing is, you don't really see with your eyes, you really see with your brain. There's a particular message that needs to be transmitted in order for sight to take place. Now, the thing is, you have two types of circulation in the body. You have pulmonary circulation, which is above your heart, and you have systemic circulation, which is below your heart. So when we're talking about pulmonary circulation, we're speaking about circulation in the cerebral hemisphere or your brain. So it means in order for you to have healthy eyesight or good eyesight, you have to have proper brain circulation. Why? Because blood is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients to cells. Cells give you tissues, tissues give you organs, organs give you organ system, and organ systems give you the body. So example, your heart has many different parts. So you have the myocardium of your heart, which is the heart wall, then you have the aorta and different valves in the heart. So the cell of the aorta and the cell of the myocardium is two different cells. However, those cells which have different parts would now give you tissue. So you have myocardial tissue or aorta tissue, which now gives you an organ, which is the heart. The heart, in turn, it comprises the cardiovascular system, which is many different organs, and then different organ systems comprise the body. So I'm saying that to help you to understand that if it is you're having proper blood circulation to cells, then you will have an overall healthy body. If, however, your circulation is compromised, it means that you're not going to have proper blood circulation to cells and in turn. So in other words, if you don't have proper blood circulation to the cells of your eye, you cannot have proper eyesight. Basic biology. Good. So the question might arise now, how do you know that you have poor circulation to your brain? So apart from poor eyesight, another thing is memory. So short-term memory, usually where you put down keys, what you went in the fridge for, what you went in the cupboard for. You might be putting the jam, which is supposed to be, or the peanut butter, which is supposed to be in the cupboard, you're putting it in the refrigerator and vice versa. Now, a lot of persons do not know that is actually the beginning of what is known as vascular dementia, which is the same thing. Poor circulation to the brain. So once you're not getting that circulation, you're going to have memory problems, you could have dizziness, you could have problems with your eyes, things like glaucoma, as I said, cataract, detached retina, especially if you are a diabetic. So that's some of the symptomology to look for. Very quickly, let me just remind you of our contact number and locations. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That is Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. That telephone number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsamud Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That telephone number is 223-7515. Again, that's 223-7515. And of course, we have the office at St. James, which is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. And Tobago is the Triangle building in Scarborough, Tobago. Once you call 222-8261, which is head office, they will be able to give you the information for all the other offices, as opposed to me calling out 10 telephone numbers for you. Let me say a pleasant good afternoon to our social media. We are live on Facebook. On Facebook, we are Batson and Associates Limited. And on Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. On YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. So that will give you the opportunity to get a lot of the content that we have here, get more information about what we do at Batson and Associates as specialist consultants in natural and integrated medicine. You have any questions yet, Base?
We have a question here. Do you have anything for fatty liver?
Okay, good. Yeah, yes, we do. The thing is, when you're talking very quickly, when you're talking about liver health, a lot of doctors would take for granted when people have fatty liver. I, however, do not, because fatty liver is an indication of a serious problem. If not dealt with properly later on, you can have serious issues, problems with blindness, problems with obesity, higher instances, or instances as it relates to diabetes. As it relates to fatty liver, what do we have? We carry liver tea. There's a product we carry at Batson and Associates called Inflammation Formula. And inflammation formula is primarily, it's a berry concentrate product that has anti-inflammatory properties associated with it. Why is that important? The thing is inflammation or inflammatory response, and I think last week I touched on this based on a question that I was asked, is what creates disease. So inflammation under normal circumstances is fine because that is actually part of the body's defense system. However, when you have excessive inflammatory response, so there are certain inflammatory chemicals like cytokines and prostaglandins, which are just example of inflammatory chemicals. When those are higher in the body, they actually create an environment that is now conducive to disease. So, for example, when people who usually have high inflammatory response in their cardiovascular system or their arteries would be termed as having blocked arteries or plaque in their arteries. That's primarily what inflammation in your arteries look like. If you are told that you have inflammation in your joints or your what is referred to as your musculoskeletal system, then you are going to have things like arthritis, a lot of pain in your joints, pain in your bones. So the point is, because the inflammatory levels is very high, it creates an environment that is very easy for problems to take place. Gastrointestinal inflammatory problems would be things like Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, diverticulitis, acid reflux, which is something that a lot of people suffer from, constipation. All those would be indication of inflammatory response that is unnatural or higher than it's supposed to be in those different organ systems. So that's primary.
Folks, once again, numbers to call 627-3223, 625-2257, 306-1065. We're talking holistic health.
Definitely. Let me say a pleasant good afternoon to Miss Annie Grant. She has joined us on Facebook. She says, good afternoon, Dr. Batson. I'm here again, thankful for the information. Miss LaQuisha Thomas, pleasant good afternoon to you, as well as Miss Marge Hills. We actually have a question on one of our Instagram. They're asking the question, as it relates to cataract, can you have both cataract and glaucoma? That's actually a very good question. Actually, you can. The problem is if you have cataract and glaucoma simultaneously, it is very difficult for doctors to perform cataract surgery on someone who has high ocular pressure in the eyes. And that's quite obvious. It means, because remember with cataract surgery, they do what is known as lens replacement now. They no longer clean cataracts. They actually replace your lens with an artificial lens. And in a situation where you have high pressure, that's going to be dangerous. It can actually cause excess bleeding. So usually they would not do that. So usually we carry an eye drop at Batson & Associates known as Eye Optics Formula. We do carry a line of eye health products. Primarily, the eye drop is designed to improve circulation in the eyes itself, which is very important for what we were discussing earlier, as well as to clean the lens of the eye. What a lot of persons do not understand is that chemicals enter your body in a number of ways. Respiratory, so through your nostrils, or via breathing, what we will call breathing. Dermally, which is through your skin, primarily, the palms of your hand, the sole of your feet, more than anything else. That's one of the most permeable parts of the your dermal aspect, which is your skin, and ocularly, which is through your eyes. So you find persons who may have certain professions, like welders, people who are auto mechanics, people who are straighteners and painters, hairdressers, nail techs, people who work in oil and gas, if you're exposed to a lot of dust, cement factory workers, that type of thing, people who clean machinery. Once you're exposed to chemicals, even with a PPP, proper health and safety protocol and gear, you still would have to ensure that you take care of your eyes because of that, because those things enter the eyes and can cause serious problems. So that's something that you could actually use the eye drop to help the cataract, and then subsequent to dealing with the cataract, then you're going to have to deal with the glaucoma situation. So you can have both cataract and glaucoma simultaneously. Okay, those telephone numbers again quickly. Let me just call the number for St. James. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That number is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. And Tobago is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number is 226-4553. You listen to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson & Associates, your natural integrative practitioners. So over to you, Mr. Bass, again, if we need to remind them of the telephone numbers to get as much questions. Because a lot of persons is like you to deal with their particular issue. You could talk about all sort of things, you know, but we could only help you if you ask the question pertaining to you.
Okay. We do have a WhatsApp question here. Well, of course, our numbers are WhatsApp only, 306-1065. And of course, feel free to call 627-3223 and 625-2257. What is the best natural way to get down your blood sugar?
Blood sugar, okay. The thing is, people who have, what we have to understand primarily is what sugar really is, right? So the basic form of sugar is glucose, which is primarily what your body utilizes as energy. The thing is, glucose is not supposed to be in your bloodstream at any given time simply because of what glucose is. Glucose, being sugar, is highly oxidative. And if it remains in the circulatory system, whether capillaries, arteries, veins, is going to cause serious inflammatory response. It's going to break down those blood cells, which is why diabetics primarily have a lot of problems with circulation, because of that high oxidative level of stress related to sugar. The thing is, you have fructose, which you get from fruits, and then you have something known as sucrose. Now, the problem with sucrose is that your body doesn't really metabolize sucrose properly. So artificial sugar, so those persons who may like a lot of juice and soft drinks and even alcohol, especially the season that we're in, you have to understand that those things have high amounts of sucrose in it, which makes it very difficult for your pancreas. Your pancreas, which produces insulin, which is a hormone, which helps in the regulating of blood sugar. When you see you use things with high levels of sucrose, so ice cream, cakes, we're not saying moderation we can handle, but some people just overdo it. And when you do that, you do something called spiking. So because the blood sugar level become very, very elevated, the body has to produce high amounts of insulin to counteract the high levels of glucose. The problem is, when your body does that consistently over a period of time, you end up with serious situations and you are termed a diabetic. Now, as it relates to natural, there's a reason why I'm telling you all of this. It means that in your diet, even from a lifestyle perspective, one of the first things you should look at is the amount of water you drink. Most diabetics do not consume enough water, even though a lot of diabetics tend to have problems with thirst. That's one. Your fiber intake is also very important. So it means more vegetables, your legumes, peas, that type of thing. Quinoa is also a very good option for helping persons with diabetes because fiber, you have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber actually helps in regulating blood sugar levels because it actually decreases the transit time as it relates to your gastrointestinal system. So as a result of that, it actually helps to regulate blood sugar levels. So I tell people bitter their blood. Now you might hear some very intelligent doctors telling you that green things hide sugar. That is total rubbish. That's not true. Because you have to understand that once you use green, automatically the glycemic index of anything that is green is very low. Glycemic index is a measurement that they use to measure the amount of sugar primarily in foods. So you find that foods usually with high glycemic index, i.e. cake, ice cream, baked goods, soft drinks, juice, alcohol, going to have serious consequences with your blood sugar levels, as opposed to low glycemic foods, which would be more grains and like whole grain foods and that kind of thing. Because of the fiber content, you find that it will actually help in regulating blood sugar better. As it relates to what we carry at Batson and Associates, we do carry a blood sugar tea. We have a blood sugar complex, and we do protocols for diabetics, whether type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because you actually have 5 types of diabetes, but I could always discuss that maybe at the next program. So,
did I have a call coming in here? We have a call coming in. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Batson.
Good afternoon, sir.
I am diabetic, right?
Right.
What is the sugar value of the struggle in the morning when you're fast?
Okay, so the question is, what is the
struggle value you get for the fasting sugar?
Base, I don't know if you can help me out there. I didn't hear the last part of that question.
All right, so turn on your radio, please, so we're getting a feedback. Please turn on your radio so we can hear your question properly.
Right, you hear better there?
Yes.
Right, well, I just want to know what the tolerable glucose level is in your blood when you're fasting in the morning.
Okay,
right,
good.
Listen off it.
Okay, good.
Glucose level when you're fasting in the morning.
Right, so he's asking basically what is the most acceptable. Usually a blood sugar reading, fasting, if you do a fasting blood sugar, usually when you test early in the morning, your acceptable levels should be anywhere between 90, depending on your age, we could go anywhere between 90 to about 110, 120. When you start passing that on a regular basis, it means that your blood sugar levels is too high. There's a test that is usually done known as a HbA1c, which is a blood test that you could do at any lab, reputable lab that is, which we're going to measure your blood sugar readings over 3 months. Your A1c ideally should be anywhere between 5.5 to 6. When you go over 6, you're in the realm or the region rather of pre-diabetic, which would go for a A1c about 6 to 6.5, 6.8. When you pass 6.8, then you're going up there. So primarily 90 to 110, 120 worst case scenario, but the A1c is very important. So if you have a recent A1c, you could always do it. You could bring it for me, bring it for us rather, and we could guide you accordingly from there, if you so desire.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good. As regards to there's a next question that we actually got here. Let me say a pleasant good afternoon to Ms. Frederica Joseph. Someone is asking if higher blood sugar levels would contribute to greater eye problems. And the answer is yes. That's the next thing, which is why usually persons who have blood sugar level readings in excess of 150, let's say in excess of 150, 130, you're going to start to experience blurred vision. So there are some persons who blood sugar go 200 plus, 300 plus. I've dealt with 600 plus already, which is madness. But the thing is, if your blood sugar levels reading like that, and you are on medication, because that actually happens to the person who actually using insulin, because you can't be using insulin and your blood sugar levels are 300, 400, and people wonder, well, if I'm using insulin, why is my blood sugar level so high? The problem is excessive insulin does not lower blood glucose, and a lot of people don't understand that. Once you understand metabolism and how the human body functions, especially as it relates to digestion and proper liver and pancreas assimilation dealing with glucose, it means that excess insulin will actually carry or increase blood sugar readings. As I said, next week, please God, I'm going to discuss diabetes. So I'm going to see if I can touch on all of those things. Over to you again, sir.
Yes, we have a call coming in here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, based on Dr. Batson.
Good afternoon, sir.
Doctor, you just mentioned soluble fibers and non-soluble fibers.
Right.
Is it possible, could you share with us or me some of the food that is soluble and non-soluble?
Okay,
Thank you.
good, no problem. Okay, right. So when you're talking soluble and insoluble fiber, right? So as I said before, soluble fiber is fiber that is actually going to be assimilated by the body in the bloodstream. And then insoluble fiber is just that. It cannot be, it's not soluble, it doesn't dissolve, it cannot break down. That is actually going to be utilized by your small intestines primarily, because the body is actually that's going to leave the body when you defecate, bowel movement, right? As regards to foods that are excellent in that, your seeds and grains, so your nuts, so things like almond nuts, cashew nuts, any type of nuts, not peanuts so much, because peanuts kind of have a little issue associated with pathogens and that kind of thing. So you could deal with things like almonds, cashew, walnuts, those type of nuts. Chia seeds is excellent, extremely good, because that has soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. The advantage with chia seeds is that chia has the ability to absorb 10 times its weight in water. So when it goes into your intestines, it actually expands and it helps persons. So persons who may have problems with constipation, basically what the fiber does is literally soak up sugar in the body. That's the easiest way I could explain it, right? So your things like your oats, primarily rolled oats, that is, steel-cut oats. You're looking at things like even provision. I tell persons, when you really look at the scale of glycemic index, provision is a way better food than rice, you know, and nobody could dispute that because of its high fiber content, and then you have other minerals, enzymes, phytonutrients, and all those things inside of it. So things like your sweet potato, dasheen, eddos, as a diabetic, you can eat that. You just need to do your portions properly. And in portioning your plate, there's a way that we can actually do that depending on the client that we're dealing with, of course, based on things like your BMI and your body composition and that kind of thing. There's a test we do at Batson & Associates called live nutritional blood cell analysis. Now, you have many different types of tests, and I have explained this last program. So you have things like a PSA, which is prosthetic-specific antigen, which is a blood test they do to determine if a male has problems with your prostate. If you're over 4, it's usually an indication something wrong. Your prostate swelling, your prostate infected, and you could end up with things like prostate cancer later on. The point I'm making, when you do the live nutritional blood cell analysis, you're actually able to see specifically your gastrointestinal system. So we know if you have, if your body absorbing fiber properly, if you're having proper bowel movement, to prevent things like later on, like, serious gastrointestinal problems. So I would suggest you at least give us a call, and you could always do a consultation or that test package that we usually offer.
All right. Let's get another call here. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Dave. Good afternoon to the guest.
Good afternoon, sir.
Is it possible that when you use boiled melalgen, it helps with your mitigation of urinating midnight, and also something called bay leaf. When bay leaf is steamed, you drop it and you drink it.
Right.
That helps with circulation. Like I have problems between at night, and somebody recommend that because sometimes circulation problem in the foot.
Right.
Could you elaborate approximately.
Okay, good, no problem. The thing is, as regards to the melangen, I mean, when you look at what melangen really is and the family that it belongs to, its nutritional properties is quite broad. So you have things like manganese, magnesium, which is two things that the body needs. But there are a lot of people walking around with magnesium deficiency and they don't know. The problem is not all magnesium is absorbed by the body, but that's for a different discussion. But the thing is, as it relates to melangen, especially because of the bright color that melangen has, there are specific things. Those, I believe, they are called anthocyanins, which are specific chemicals that give things like berry and those things the bright color that they have, and those have high antioxidant properties. So, for example, if you maybe steam that and eat it, it's going to actually help in regulating blood glucose. It's going to help with things like your blood sugar. It's going to help with circulation. And as it relates to bay leaf, I mean, I'm a big tea. I'm a tea fanatic. I mean, that one of the things I had to do because I did Chinese medicine. I went to China in 2014 till 2015. And one of the things that we had to do was understanding the importance of tea. And all teas have a property in it known as tannins, Tannins. And that actually has the ability to do a number of things, improve gastrointestinal health, maintain very slim bodies as it relates to lower body fat. Hence, the Asian people tend to drink a lot of tea. There's a reason for that. One of the things we carry at Batson and Associates as well is a wide assortment of teas. We have like blood sugar tea, hypertension teas. Those teas actually help in regulating those situations based on the ingredient profile. Also for weight loss, there's a 7-channel detox product that we carry called Santulan, which means balance in Hindi. And what that product does, it helps to detoxify kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, lymphatic system, skin, and your lungs. So usually after carnival, we have a lot of persons coming to get that because, you know, it will help with things like alcohol or the little, you know, all the all-inclusive food you eat and all those type of things. Those who indulge in that type of thing, because it actually helps in cleansing the body. So you might find someone who might have headaches. People have a lot of headaches, and they know the reason you have all those headaches is because your gastrointestinal and your liver messed up. So you need a 7-channel detox because you have to understand, you have 7 channels in which toxins leave the body: kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, your lymphatic system, which is the system that cleans your circulatory system. So it's kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, lymphatic system, skin, and your lungs. Most people who have skin problems, LOTA. If you have LOTA, I remember dealing with a client and he said, Dr. Batson, I'm 50 and I have LOTA since I'm small. I said, well, your blood dirty since it's small, that's all. It just never cleaned. Because he didn't understand how he could have it so long, and he figured it was something normal. People who have things like dandruff and all, if you have dandruff and problems with dry scalp, that has nothing to do with your scalp and your skin. Psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, lichen planus, all those fancy diagnoses for skin problems, atopic dermatitis, and those type of things. Acne, it has nothing to do with your skin. It has to do with the other organs of elimination: kidney, liver, lymphatic system. And the thing is, you have to know what you're doing in terms of cleaning those, because you don't want to end up with healing crisis. Our foreparents some years ago were very smart when, before they gave us purges, which we know better now depending on what you use. We have better sense now. We have more information out. But long ago, your parents used to give you cooling before you get a purge. There was a reason for that. The cooling was basically to start to move the toxins out of the system gradually, as opposed to just giving your body an immediate shock of a purge. That's like all of us in the National Stadium and all of us trying to exit the stadium through a regular front door. Chaos, that can't happen. So the body has to gradually remove things like that. And we carry a lot of those things at Batson and Associates. The water that we use as well, which is a premium alkaline water. So again, you can call, get the information. That telephone number is 222-8261. Again, 222-8261. Over to you, sir.
All right, we have a question here, but we had a call coming in first. Once again, 627-3223-625-2257. If you get the call before we go to the WhatsApp there and get into that question. So we are allowing the caller to call this, call back, 627-3223-625-2257. Once again, you're listening to Dr. Batson. Well, Batson and Associates is the name of the company, and we're talking holistic health. All right, well, let's go to the WhatsApp here. Good afternoon, Dr. Batson. What causes someone with glaucoma, cataracts, and dementia to be seeing strange things that no one else is seeing?
That's a good question. Well, the thing is, when you suffer from, so it really doesn't have anything to do primarily with the cataract. I mean, if you have cataract and you have opaque, your lens is basically obscured in some way, it means obviously you wouldn't see things. You might see shadows, and if you vocalize those, people might be thinking, something is wrong with you. Same thing with glaucoma. I mean, the thing is, you have two types of glaucoma primarily. You have open angle and closed angle glaucoma. Depending on the type of glaucoma you have, it can alter how you see people. You might see people taller, some people shorter. You might see things like lights and that type of thing. And again, if you vocalize that, people would think, well, it's strange to them, but it's not strange to you. You're experiencing it. And then, of course, dementia. Remember, dementia is a little less advanced than Alzheimer's. Some years ago, like about 30 years ago in medicine, you would not have heard the term dementia. There's also a term known as vascular dementia, which is, again, where you do not have proper blood circulation to the brain, and because of that now, you have so persons with dementia don't understand time and place. They don't understand dates. They don't understand present, past, that type of thing. So they will tell you, they might have a deceased loved one, and then you hear they talking about their husband, calling him by name. I went out with Errol. Let's say his name is Errol. I went out with Errol last night, but everybody know Errol died 20 years ago, because their ability to rationalize has significantly decreased as a result of that poor circulation in different parts of the brain. If you do a brain CT on someone with dementia and a brain CT on someone who has a normal brain, you'll realize the patterns that you see. The person who has normal function, they have a lot of bright red in different areas, which means the circulation is correct. Persons with dementia don't have that. They have areas where they do not get blood circulation. And back to the genesis of our discussion, I was explaining that when you do not have proper blood circulation, you lose proper organ function because the cells are not being fed properly. Remember, blood is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients. I mean, things like hormones and those type of things too as well, but primarily for the improvement of that particular situation. So again, someone who has that situation, they will see, they will hallucinate. And especially if they're on particular medication as well too, that will also, exacerbate that particular situation. But that's something that we have dealt with quite successfully, even Alzheimer's. So again, you can feel free to give us a call or visit.
All right, let's get a call here. Hello, good afternoon.
Doctor, what causes you to lose your sense of smell? I'm listening operator.
Okay, what causes you to lose your sense of smell? Now, usually pre-COVID, that would be something that very few people experience, because persons would usually lose sense of smell pre-COVID would be persons who may, for example, work in places where you deal with a lot of different scents. So you might be smelling. So let's say, okay, you may be a cleaner, or you're someone who work in CPAP, as ridiculous as it might sound, because they have to clean drains and all these type of things. So when you're exposed to a lot of different scents over a period of time, it can interfere with your sense of scent. If you have problems with poor circulation in the brain, if you have suffered strokes, whether ischemic or hemorrhagic strokes, that could also affect your sense of smell. The thing is, since COVID, we know one of the issues associated with COVID-19 is loss of smell and taste. Now, there have actually been incidents with persons who have had COVID-19 on more than one occasion, and they had long-term loss of scent and taste. So that could also be a contributory factor. But apart from that, as I said, lack of blood circulation to the brain, and also if you use specific type medications as well too, depending on whatever health situation you may have, those could also contribute to loss of scent as well. Okay?
So again, yes, folks, once again, our number 627-3223, 625-2257, and your WhatsApp messages at 306-1065. A question here. Good afternoon. Is coffee, tea, well, I guess good for you in the morning, or is it good for your heart?
Coffee and or tea, or how they ask that?
Well, they said coffee, tea. They said coffee. I guess they meant coffee.
Well, coffee. Okay, good. The thing is, the coffee is not as good as we would like to think. I mean, I do, shudder to tell people this, because you have to understand what coffee is. Coffee primarily falls in the category of two things. It's a stimulant and it is a diuretic. So stimulant means it stimulates or interferes with your central nervous system to the point that it also makes you hyper. We know why people drink coffee, because they lack energy, right? And they want something to give them, this buzz to go. And we know the caffeine does that. The thing is, when you do that for extended period of time, you are going to damage your central nervous system. And it is a diuretic, which means it causes your body to lose sodium. It removes the mineral sodium from your body. And after sodium leaves, water decides to follow. So that's how diuretics function. Lasix and those type of things work primarily the same way. So someone who drinks a lot of coffee, you're going to find yourself in a diuretic situation. And if you are someone who do not drink sufficient levels of water or amounts of water, you're going to end up severely dehydrated, which could later on lead to cardiovascular problem, gastrointestinal problem. So the whole long and short of the story, if it is you like coffee, you love coffee, but if it is you love yourself more, you would try and lessen the amount of coffee you have on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. Like the old people say, too much of one thing isn't good for anything. Okay?
Yep. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, folks. I don't know if you have any questions on your end there.
Okay. Yes. You just let me know according to time how we're going, right?
Okay. Yes, we have about 5 more minutes again.
Okay, good. Yeah. So there's a question we got here where someone is asking, is coconut oil good for dementia? The answer is yes. You would hear a lot of debates in the world about coconut oil. But the simple fact is that, coconut oil, because it's a medium chain, is it fatty acid? It's medium in a chain. So as a result of that, it has some serious benefits as it relates to lubrication and circulation in the body. What mankind needs to understand is that like your vehicle and various type of machinery needs oil for proper lubrication, because we know if pipelines, for example, are not lubricated properly, eventually they dry, they become very hard. So imagine a hose that is in the hot sun for a number of months. Eventually that's going to have it's not lubricated, there's no kind of oil or nothing like that. Think of your shoes, you might have a leather shoes, and you clean your shoes or polish your shoes for how long? Polish usually has what? Oils in them. The reason for that is to maintain proper lubrication. The human body is the same thing. If you were to take all the blood vessels in the human body and attach them together, they would be able to make the circumference of the Earth 2.5 times, which is 66,000 miles. So you essentially have 66,000 miles of blood vessels, arteries, capillaries, and veins in the human body. You must have, apart from water, healthy oils or healthy fats, which are going to help to keep those things lubricated. Then there's also something known as nitric oxide. That's a supplement that we carry at Batson & Associates. There's a product we have for cardio, to improve cardio health, clean your arteries, that type of thing. And one of the components is healthy oils in there in order to give you that particular proper lubrication to maintain the pliability of your blood vessels. So remember, your blood vessels are supposed to be able to vasodilate, which is to open, and vasoconstrict, which is to close. And it has to be able to do that at will, at the shortest notice. If they're not properly lubricated and that happens, you're going to have tearing. That's how people end up with blockages in the arteries and build up of plaque and that kind of thing, because those microscopic tears in the lining, the endothelial lining of your blood vessels can actually cause problems with plaque buildup and block arteries and that type of thing. So
we have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. A question. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, man, listen to the panel.
Yes, sir.
I drink coffee per day. Again, the coffee, she's just think about not knowing coffee. You know what's the label? Titanium. Could you explain what titanium is in coffee? I know it has to be some kind of deadly kind of thing like aluminum, lead poisoning. We'll listen to it and try it.
All right. Well, that's interesting. To be quite honest, I will be very honest. I have never really read the labels on, because I don't drink coffee. So I've never really read it. So I'll due diligence would allow me to do some research and check that. And then I'll be able to get back with you as regards to that. Okay, so I'm going to check it out and I'm going to see what it is they say on that. I have never seen it on any ingredient profile where that is concerned. All right, over to you, sir.
All right, okay, we have more questions here. So you have about 2 more minutes. And what is the use of estrogen? And are there any medicines or foods that contains it?
Oh, yeah. Well, estrogen primarily is a hormone. Estrogen is produced by both men and women. In women, of course, it is produced in higher amounts because of their sexual function and how their body, for menstruation and a number of things, right? Now, the thing is, women usually have some things known as polycystic ovarian syndrome. They may have fibroids, they may have adenomyosis and various imbalances in the uterus, ovaries, that type of thing. And that could be as a result of high levels of estrogen. As regards to foods that have it, the thing is, there's actually a study that they did, and they actually found estrogen in tap water. I can't remember the countries that they would have checked. I don't know if we fell in that. However, like soy, for example, has phytoestrogen. Phyto meaning plant, and estrogen, of course, the hormone. So you need to be careful with that, because there is something known as gynecomastia, which is male breasts, which is something that, it's not, people think it's a joke, but it's not a joke. But the reason why men are experiencing that, especially young adolescent boys who may be or may not be diabetic, is because of the high levels of estrogen. Some of the foods that you may eat may be processed food. They use a lot of hormones, antibiotics, and as a result of that, if you consume too much of that, that could happen to you. So you can get it in foods, and there are also natural sources, which are maybe next program when I'm discussing diabetes, I could actually touch on that.
We have time for one more call there, 627-3223, 625-2257. Right here on Freedom 106.5. You're talking to Batson and Associates. Right, these are holistic health consultants. So your final question, 627-3223, 625-2257. And of course, many thanks going out to all the questions we've had thus far. Let's take this last question. Hello. Yes, hello. Listen on the phone, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, listen on the phone, please, and not the radio, miss. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Let me just hold on.
Yes, you need to
Hi, good afternoon there.
Yes.
Okay, I have a quick question actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, we're listening to you.
Okay, right. So basically, yes, Dr. Batson was touching there on polycystic ovary in connection with anemia.
Mm-hmm.
I did a consultation with Dr. Batson, with the consultation with them.
Right.
And it was quite, how to put it, mind-blowing that, all the issues that are associated with anemia, because I started to get inflammation. My feet started to swell and all that. And then I got some medication that would literally work in a matter of in a week's time.
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad to hear that.
And I just wanted to express my, how to put it, my gratitude, for listening to the program, basically, and getting the right information.
Okay. Thanks very much for that. I'm glad to hear that.
Also, thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out if you all have any female balance in stock.
Oh yes, we are. We got female balance. Okay. Right. So yeah, we got female balance. So very quickly, because I know our time must be very close there. So keep in mind again that number for Shogunas. That number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. For our social media, we are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. And on YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. As we always say at Batson and Associates, if you think health is expensive, try sickness. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Mr. Batson, thank you so very much for your time. And to the listeners of Freedom 106.5 FM, do enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Join us next week as we discuss diabetes. And of course, we'll entertain your questions as well. Take care.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Batson. Very informative. You've been listening to, of course, Holistic Health by Dr. Batson and Associates right here on Freedom 106.5. We continue with the betterments.
If you love technology, then tune in.
Yes, people. Yes. Well, that program was a good program. You know how long I sweat, so? I like when I get program like that. Question after question. Okay, so let me say a pleasant good afternoon to our social media people. Remember, I see Shakil gave me a kind of signal here, like it have some question you want to ask. So Shakil, go ahead, ask a question.
Well, we do have a few questions, but
what's the time?
So I wanted to ask the audience.
No, here what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do today is what's the date today? Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll do a live tomorrow. Tomorrow night?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
I'll do a live tomorrow for okay, then I'll do a live Saturday. No, I'll waiting.
You're doing that Sunday? It's Sunday,
Yeah. Sunday evening. So Sunday evening I'll do a live, a 2-hour live. I will go from God's willing from 8 to 10. I'll go from 8 to 10. So all you guys with your questions here, we're gonna get some of these questions. Shaki will try and take off the questions for me, so that I'll be able to go, and we will do a live Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. God's willing. Okay. There's some more lives I have planned for you guys, but I was trying to do it tomorrow, but tomorrow is a bad day because we may have to do studio and all those type of things. Okay. So guys, join us. Those of you who can at 8. Oh, we gotta push this back. We gotta go 8:30. I'm breathless and I'm hungry.
All right, no problem. No problem.
So we will go. It's now 8:02:08. So I hope DJ Mamu understands. DJ Mamu radiott.com. We'll be going, but we'll go from 2:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
All right. Okay.